Abrams. This is Pastor Ryan, and this is the Weekend Extra. This week we started a new series called Here and Now. And tonight you were talking about how quickly a generation can lose sight of God and His truth in our lives. I was actually doing a study this week, and they were talking about this. I was in Judges, where you were tonight, and the Bible study leader was saying that sometimes when things are good in your life, you forget to say, hey, this is because of the goodness of God.
Yeah, totally.
And I really thought about that, and I thought, I definitely cry out to God when things are tough or rough for me. So I kind of just was intrigued that this was the message tonight, and you were telling us that it's time to be intentional to pass on God's truth, whether things are good or bad. So my favorite thing you said, and it was at the end, was our faith isn't something we do. Our faith is who we are. And how do we make that so? If we're talking to new people who haven't been around, like how do we make it who we are?
That's a phenomenal question. I think the first part is just kind of knowing what we're talking about when we talk about our faith, because there's a cultural Christianity that can exist that says, I'm a Christian because I attend this service. I'm a part of a club. I do the church things, therefore I am a Christian. Right. So I actually think it really goes back to like our understanding of what it means to follow Christ. That when we talk about following Christ, it's really important that we talk about the reality that it is a completely life-altering decision. Right. Right. We're saying yes to a person that will forever change the way that we define ourselves and our world and our eternity. And I think if we can allow that to be on the way in, that faith isn't just something we do. I go to church and do some stuff. My faith is who I am. I'm changing my identity when I say yes to Christ. Right. Like I think for me, like because I came to know Christ late in life, it was an identity changer. Absolutely. I'm like, this whole thing is crazy. Right. I mean, what? I had no idea that Jesus died for me and wants me to follow him. And so I think it's coming back to that life-altering reality of it. And I think if you grew up in the do side, like, church is just what we do, and it's not that big of a deal, and it's kind of how it is. I think I would encourage you to take some time and talk to people who live over here. Right. In the faith is who I am, and also kind of a deep reassessment of what do I believe. Yeah. Because I don't think Jesus gives us room to live in this cultural Christianity. Right. That's not really following Christ. Right. So tonight you were talking pretty specifically about serving in the children's ministry. And I think a unique aspect of Grace Church, at least what made a huge impact on me, was coming in and being told, hey, we all have gifts, we all have strengths. Yeah. We want you to serve there. That being said, I got put into doing some children's ministry things, and I was like, this isn't my strong suit. I mean, I have children, but I think they were really young when we first started coming, so I was like, I don't even want to be around kids, but it's so funny because in doing that, I learned so much more about my faith by watching other people downstairs teaching the kids and just hearing the Bible stories come alive. And then too, having these kids look at me and kind of call you out a little bit on, well, is this true? I've got to flesh this out. I've got to live it out a little bit. So one of the other things you said tonight was God's word and love should be centralized to who we are and what we do. And I don't know, does that come from just serving, or how do we incorporate that to make it centralized? Well, that's a really great question. I think for families and individuals, I think this series is probably a great time to ask some of these deeper questions. One of the things that's been on my mind a ton, I think trying to lead my family to a place where we are centralized on Christ is I'm discovering how much intentionality it takes. You know, especially if you have a bunch of people that are scattering all over the place to activities and stuff, and there's attention, and there's devices, and there's things that are like attention, grab, right, pulling us away, and they're not all bad. But if my central focus of my life is not Christ, and that's not the central focus of our family, and kind of where we're headed, then I'm going to like drift into no man's land. We're all going to fail at it 1,000 times over. That's not the issue.
Right.
The intentionality and the commitment to it is the issue. You know, that's, I think, when we say love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, I think that what that means is we need to attack this to some degree like we would attack anything we really want. And it's not that we earn it, right? Because it's by grace, but there is effort involved. And sometimes that has been like a bad word.
Right.
Well, if it's all grace, it should just happen.
Right.
And I don't think that's not what the scriptures teach.
True.
Right? Effort is not opposed to grace.
Right.
They're together. And so I think a big part of it is saying, hey, Lori and I just had to like work this through for our world a little bit. We're like, what are we about? Like we need some values for our family,
Right.
you know, and how are we gonna make sure we like stay anchored?
Right.
Because I don't know. Like, I don't know what we're about. What does define my life?
Right.
And even writing it down is an exercise that I think is, for us, it took a lot of time to, like, work that all the way through, you know? But it was really, it's been very, very helpful.
I'm sure just because of the busyness, like you were saying, the sports that, sometimes you're like, what are we even doing? You know, it's just on autopilot. So another thing you said tonight, take ownership for the spiritual development of the next generation. And this needs to be our conviction. And I would just encourage anyone out there to get connected to a life group, get connected to a discovery group. I know my life group has, and I say it all the time, they keep me in check. They really encourage me to make good choices and just to keep going when life is hard.
That's awesome.
And then get plugged in here. I like my boys, they need men. They need men in their lives that are working through their faith. And even if you're failing at it, like they need to see that, hey, like God is still there and he still cares and he still loves. And I just want to encourage everyone to do that and get plugged in. And thank you so much for starting out this series. I'm so excited to see where it goes and to see what we need to be doing in the here and now. So this has been the Weekend Extra. I'm Bethany. This is Pastor Ryan.